Islands? Like, what made the tour manager be like, we gotta play there?
Well, your guess is as good as mine, Pink. I
All right.
mean, I suspect it had if I suspect it had something to do with money. And
Money's good. Yeah.
why we're playing. It's not kind of the full. Well, there's the band, and then we have a stripped down crew. Although they're going to be, apparently they're really nice. The thing that has been a little bit of a problem is I will be taking my one of my bases and then my suitcase, which I normally put my pedal board in and so and such.
Mhm.
But the it's just getting the actual equipment to the Faroe Islands. I don't, if you look at where it was on the map, okay, you got Iceland, you got Denmark, but it's like, well, where are you going to
Where do
go?
you ship from? Right.
Yeah, where do you ship from? And then we knew about this show for a while, so we were thinking of like, getting stuff across there and maybe freighting it. Hey Tommy, you're back with us.
Sorry about that. I'm on my
That's
phone
fine.
now.
I thought it was something I'd said. I mean, you just be open with me, man. Anyway,
I, I thought I got kicked out of the group. I said I hadn't traveled much, and y'all kicked me off.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
It's
wow,
the
I'm
internet gremlins.
yeah, yeah.
sophisticated players here.
Uh,
Uh,
So yeah, so this show, I had over the past few weeks, there's been like, well, what about the keyboards? And that we need a very specific Kronos. I think it's a Kronos keyboard, and there's various things that kind of we need for the show. But it's like where we're going to get one, we can't really take one. There's going to be four flights. I've got to go from London to Copenhagen and Copenhagen to the Faroe Islands. So yeah, so it's going to be. I'm sure I will have a couple of stories waiting for you
Mhm.
next week. So that's my itinerary. But anyway, welcome. We're going to get into video share this session again, um, and I mean, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and do this smoothly without any glitches. You'll be able to see it and hear it. You've all sent me your submissions, so I'll kind of play mother, dad. So who would like to go first? And if so, it would be really nice to just give us a brief kind of intro as to what we're about to see and why you chose to share this. So over to you, whoever wants to go.
I can do it.
Okay, Matt. Right.
I,
While you're talking,
I
I'm gonna
wanted
get.
to. I wanted you to see what I'm up against, what I have to deal with. The last couple of days, yesterday and today, this I sent something to Paul yesterday, and that's the first part of this video you're going to see, and the second part. It's only about 80 seconds, 80 seconds long. So second part is what I've been working on today and what I will continue working on, which is something totally different. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Perfect. Can everybody see that? All good? Okay, let's play this. You need to talk us through as well. I know, but I want you to talk us through this situation here on your base after the clip. Okay, that'd be really cool.
Yep.
Here we go. Hang on.
There's no sound.
We lost your audio, Paul.
Yeah, lost the sound.
Lost Paul too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from the detention bit. I need to run
There we
through the
go.
detentions with you. I don't think any of you other guys have had that yet, but you know, it's coming your way. I love that. Let me just check this. So that's weird. So yeah, when I mute myself on my mic, it mutes everything. Okay, got it. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So-
it.
Well, talk us through.
The first part, I might have led you to believe that I can read sheet music. Apparently, I couldn't because although Paul sent me the sheet music to that part of the bass line to play the funky music, I read it, I listened to it, I isolated it in Moises, and it came out wrong. That was the first part. So that's what I got homework to do from Paul yesterday because I was totally wrong. It's it's amazing. And to make things even worse, today I learned the right part and I recorded it, and I was going to make up this video. And I listened to what I had recorded. The same thing all over again. The same mistake. And I thought I had a tough time to believe in my own ability to get things right. Actually,
Oh boy. I mean, that whole thing, I've heard this track many times. I'm sure, probably we all have, I would have thought. And I've heard it live. I've heard it in many clubs and workshops and all sorts of stuff. And a lot of the time, the bass player tends to play the guitar line, and it's very misleading because it's so driven with this groove. The bass player, if you don't watch it, you end up morphing into boom, and that is the guitar line essentially. So, the as I keep saying, the kind of like gold is in the detail. But it's easily missed on a track like that because you've got such a heavy guitar riff. You can end up morphing into that. But to give the contrast and give the track, if you listen again closely to the track, you'll hear that the bass is not doing the guitar line and it is doing its own part. So well done for that, Mats. I mean, the second bit of it was how one little note, and you were not like, it wasn't like playing loads of wrong stuff or in the wrong place. It was just one displaced rhythm, note, and rest can transform the whole song and the whole groove.
That's what it was. It was a 16th rest that I didn't pay attention to, and I didn't, and I hammered on too many notes. I didn't play the ones that should have been played, and that was that made all the difference. You
Yeah.
know?
Amazing. Well, I look forward to hearing that again next week and seeing how it's all coming along. Does anybody else want to contribute on that, or have any thoughts on that?
I want to know about the tape over the pickups.
It's not tape. It's a piece of plastic that I have screwed on between the pickups in order to make room for a rest. Otherwise, there's not a rest for the thumb when I'm playing
Got it.
when I'm not on the pickup. It feels a little awkward right now because I'm used to having nothing there, empty space. But now I'm starting to get used to it, and it's good somewhere to rest the thumb when I'm playing down there, because I haven't. I've usually been playing, way up, closer to the neck, but to get some bump into the Fender Jazz, I need to be playing down there, to get, especially with this type of music, to get some bounce into the sound.
Cool.
Yeah.
That whole kind of like rest thing is really integral. Someone once always told me, I think it was kind of Rocco, who he used to come into college quite a bit. I spent quite a bit of time with Francis, and he always used to say that, this is your tone, this is, providing you're right-handed, it could be this. But basically, I got what he was meaning in the fact that, where you play on the instrument, particularly between the bridge and the neck, is going to dramatically change the feel and obviously the tonal range of the instrument. And then it's coupled with styles and genre, isn't it? Because Matt's obviously with the reggae stuff that we've been doing, then the neck is more preference from the right tone and the round and the deep and the low end. But obviously, sometimes you can go too far back to the bridge, and then it kind of essentially it isn't bass anymore. It's kind of like it's so thin. So you've got to watch it, as far as where you play. I'm a real stickler for that with all of my basses. I tend to have, my Stingray pickup. When I got my Overwater, I got Chris May, who's the luthier who builds Overwater basses, and he put a ramp in for me between the pickups. Rather than I like the configuration, but I just needed to feel my fingers were in the right place between the neck and the bridge. But it's personal preference and down to style, I suppose. But yeah, great. I mean, well done on that. You've adjusted it, and it's only going to get better at this point. But it's a shocker, isn't it? It's a shocker. Little things mean a lot, Okay, cool. Great. Let's move on. Who would like to go next?
I can go next.
I'll go.
Tommy G.
Whatever.
Okay.
Mine
So
should be fun too, assuming this works. This track's called The Lawyer Song for obvious reasons. I'm sure you'll recognize the tune as soon as it starts. And what I wanted to illustrate is it's a song that our band does. It's an easy cover tune. It's fun to do. But there's some licks and some fills that may or may not come through in a live performance. So I have to kind of artistically decide how close to the original I want to be. And it's also an interesting roadmap. Sometimes there are 3 measures of the lick, sometimes there are only 2, and that kind of bollocks us up sometimes with the vocals and the guitars. So we had to kind of make sure everybody knew 3 times through for the intro, 2 times between the verses and stuff like that. But it's been fun to kind of put together. And the other war story I wanted to tell on this is that we were doing a gig, and the drummer decided to let somebody sit in on the next song. And the next song was this song. And the kid was probably 15, maybe 12. but thought she was greatest bass drummer ever. And the person just started doing this drum solo over this particular song. So it was a disaster of epic proportions, but it was all live theater. So, but it was fun. So we got through it.
Wow. Oh dear. Okay, let's give it a listen.
Let's see if this works.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool.
It's
So,
fun to play. It's fun to
yeah,
play.
that
Some of the things I had to work on is the slides, making sure the slides are solid, and
Mm.
sometimes they aren't, and the rhythms are a little funky. So sometimes I have to focus on those. So it's a bunch of different things going on with that song, but the roadmap and the lyrics are fun, and we all tend to hang together pretty well. So
yeah.
it's a fun song to play too.
It's
And
a
I
good
tried to look up. I tried to look up just like Paul says, instead of looking at the neck and looking at the floor. So, so I had to look at the camera.
Yeah. No, I would imagine, I think, some of the hardest songs to retain are the ones where, you've got it's how many times you do a certain thing. I mean, it's a real addictive
Right.
kind of groove, isn't it? With the slide and everything. I'm loving that. But it's like you said, oh no, how many times do I do it? And I could imagine
Right.
myself drifting and thinking, oh, where are we at? Are we in the
Right.
second verse? Or oh no, is it the first? Oh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that you see, and in a way, I find that a lot harder, and kind
Mhm.
of unfortunately or fortunately, the pop world, a lot of the songs sometimes I don't even have a verse. It's just one riff chorus with slight differences and slight changes. So I have to remember where those things come. And when a song is always all virtually the same, despite how good it might be, it's hard to remember where they are. Where you've got the flip side of the coin if you're looking at like a Tower Power tune or a Rush tune or an Iron Maiden tune. Oh, that's the verse, that's the chorus, and
Mhm.
that's the middle eight or bridge, and they're all different because you
Right.
remember the riffs and you think, yeah, it's this bit, I'm cool, but that is really, it's really difficult to do. And the original of that, is it all? Are you always traveling kind of essentially three frets, isn't it? Where on the foot on the
Yeah.
slide up from the is that how the original is?
Actually, I worked on it with Ray, and I think he only needed like 2 frets.
Yeah,
But I started it with all the way up from the nut, all the way up front, the whole neck, and it just was a lot of slide. So again, I think it's just a quick slide, but I don't know for sure on the
yeah.
track.
I
He's
think
only hearing a pretty quick slide.
Yeah, it's like the only reason I'm asking is that if I was gigging that, I would be I'd probably get told off because I'd want to go "Woot,
Vroom, vroom. Yeah,
yeah, because it's a real like feature, isn't it?
yeah,
Of the song, it's a real feature. But yeah, I mean that's brilliant.
yeah. And that's what I actually started doing with it. But yeah, I totally agree.
If you
And the
overshoot,
stops are good. And like I said, if you overshoot, it kind of becomes kind of muddied and
yeah,
sounds horrible. So I
yeah,
had to make those decisions. The other thing is if you listen to the track, there's a lot of nice fills like pentatonic up the neck and stuff like that, and some really nice up here
yeah.
that the bass player does.
Hmm.
And musically, I had to decide if that works with our
Hmm.
band. And I found that it didn't really work real well in rehearsal. So
Right.
I kind of moved away from that, but it'd be nice to be true to the original someday.
Yeah. I th I
But
think I think this, the most important thing is getting through the song and the arrangement and the embellishments, will either come or they won't later. But
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing that everybody remembers is obviously the feature of that from the rhythm section point of view and the song, I would say. I've never heard that
yeah,
song before, but I will remember the slide, so
yeah.
it's really addictive. So I think I think you're right in you always have to rehearse to a point where you think, well, this is gonna. It depends who you're working with. I think another essential thing that might be overlooked with that song is
Right.
is tempo. Um, does your drummer use a click or even have a
Yeah.
visual before he starts? You see, that's worrying for me. Um,
Well,
it
he'll click
depends.
it in. He'll give us 4. He'll give us 4,
Yeah,
but he
but
doesn't have a click track.
yeah. Well, I'm not saying necessarily a click track where
Yeah,
everything, I'd spend my life working with clicks, live
yeah,
and in the studio. I'm talking like setting the band off at the right tempo because something like that, I think if you were too quick, it would lose a lot of the impact of the song. So it's
definitely.
really important. I mean, most drummers that I've even in the past that I work with have some kind of flash or click to get them started on each song. So they'll have their
Mm,
set list, they'll know the song, hopefully, and they will have next to the set list a BPM, and then they will do a little cheeky flash. It could be on their phone, it could be, I mean, you get these watches now, don't you, where they kind of pulsate.
wow,
Bit weird, but
wow.
yeah. So and but I think if you set off too quick or even the opposite too slow, but generally live music, the kind of falling in the ditch is things too fast because adrenaline, or nerves, or I've
Yeah.
got to get through, or I want to get home for supper, or I mean, I don't know, so tends to keep you going forward. When you're playing with a click track sequence or whatever through your ears, like I'll be doing it tomorrow over the weekend. Sometimes if I've been listening to a song, when it starts, I've often thought, wow, this is really slow. This is wrong.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It isn't wrong at all. It's absolutely right. And it's me thinking, it's me taken up with the moment, wanting to go faster.
Yep.
Really interesting how you hear tempo and time. But I mean, I don't want you to fall out with the drummer, heaven forbid. But
Probably not.
it might be worth a really kind, considerate conversation about kind of, hey man, what tempo you got for that? Just that.
Yeah.
And then if it's a blank look, or if he starts throwing sticks at you, obviously you don't want to go.
It's like, just curious.
Yeah. Just I'm
Just
asking.
asking.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
I
have a client that wanted me to ask that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's crucial, I mean, it's one thing, everybody, look. But I mean, is it going to be, is it going to be the right tempo? I don't know, unless I've got my doot, 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 either in my ears or flashing at me. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah.
Drumsticks.
I don't know how those drummers do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how this drummer does it. That's for sure.
I mean, I was, I don't know whether. Well, I know for a fact that that two of you play guitar. I don't know whether you play any other instruments, but I was fortunate enough to not study with a drummer, but my friend who when we were in the States, he was a drummer. So it was like, oh, show me what you're doing. And the hardest thing I ever got to do was actually try and get the independence of, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, dum ja, dum dum ja, bum ja, dum dum ja. Getting that kind of patting your tummy, rubbing your head kind of thing. Once you've got that, you're well on the way. But I think it's a really good thing to actually learn another instrument, but not at the cost. You'll always have your number one, but it kind of makes you a little bit more understanding of the other members in the band. If you're asking a drummer to do a certain thing, if you've got a take on what he can play and his capabilities, then that's going to be better for him and you. Capabilities on guitar, what chords are you playing there, keys. I'm talking about, I suppose, music, being a music director. If I couldn't, I do it now and again, where I'm kind of, the book stops with me and I'm in charge of the whole band. But if I'm writing a part for an instrument, or I'm telling a guitarist what to do, it stands to reason I've got to understand the instrument and certainly have a working knowledge of what's going on. Otherwise, it's just like, I'm just not instructing him to play what I want him to play, especially if it was one of my own tunes. So I think it's good to have a working knowledge of other instruments, but don't be jack of all trades, master of none. I'm a bass player, but I have to have my finger on the pulse with other stuff as well, other instruments. Anyway, swiftly moving on to our last submission from Pink. So Pink, do you need to say anything before we?
Yeah. So I've been griping about this one for a couple of weeks. It's the one where we sort of off the cuff got handed this as an assignment walking out the door in practice a week or two ago. It's Been Caught Stealing by Jane's Addiction. And I've never played any Jane's Addiction before. It's not really my style. But the keyboard player that we were kind of meshed together with really wanted to do this song, and so we wanted to do something nice for her because she was learning a bunch of material for us and all of this. And so we kind of went out on a limb, and I showed an early cut of doing this last week before the gig to Paul, and we had this discussion about, well, how much effort should I be putting into this, right? Because it was the kind of thing I mentioned this last week that the keyboard player had already said, if the vibe isn't right, we won't do it. Like, we'll just make a game time decision. And I put a lot of effort into the song. I know other folks had put a lot of effort into learning the song. And Paul and I had a conversation about, well, all right, the line isn't right. How much do I want it to be right? How much do I want to put into it? And ultimately what I decided was, right now I'm like, yeah, I can probably get by with it. But the whole point of this experience that we're all going through is learning to do stuff the right way and not just learning to do enough to cheat. Right. We've kind of we're all sort of there already. So let's put in the extra effort to get it right. So I spent a lot more time, going back to the riff, slowing it down, working up the speed. And the thing about this riff is it's three notes. It's just da 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 for minutes. And so with a lot of extra cacophony, dogs barking and guitars wailing and atonal singing, and you can tell I'm a Jane's Addiction fan. And so focusing enough to keep this riff on over and over and over and over again was quite the challenge for me. It's hard in my hands. It was hard just from a mental perspective. And so after this, I'll tell you what actually happened at the gig, but let's get to the actual thing.
Here we go. Okay, here we go.
I cut it here. Really, I just wanted to get to the solo and prove to myself that I could still be focused enough to get where everything but the bass drops out. Um, so like I said, it takes a tremendous amount of focus to just kind of stay on that. And what actually happened at the gig? So we played this, and the drummer was off on his own pace per the previous conversation. I don't know what tempo he was actually at, but it was different, and we never all rehearsed it all together. So I'm really focused on him and trying to get this lick right, because it sort of makes the song from the rhythm perspective. And the keyboard player is who's singing this, and I'm kind of turned off to the side. And apparently, what was going on, if anyone here has seen Purple Rain, the Prince movie, she's writhing around on stage, screaming into the microphone like Prince during Darling Nikki, right? Just like, what is happening? And the rain is pouring down, it's pouring off the canvas because it's pouring thunderstorms, and she's on the ground writhing around and singing. Like, it was a spectacle, to say the least. But we got through it. And so I said when I was done with that, I never want to play this song ever again. But I knew I had this week coming up, and so I played it probably 5 more times to keep working on getting the timing and getting those dead notes and getting it to the point where, okay, I feel all right with it. And had a conversation with the band last night at rehearsal, and we're like, I don't think we ever need to play that ever again. Nope, done, never again. Chuck, thanks. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that we discussed the articulation thing, didn't we? And just the dexterity needed to play that line. But I think
long.
yeah, I mean that's relentless. But we all know tracks like that, don't we? That we have to. You have to almost dig deep with and put yourself somewhere else. And I think even with like sending signals to, because everybody kind of tenses up, and the worst thing you can do is to try and play fast like this. So you almost need to send a signal to relax and ease into the groove, not to the point of sloppiness, but to the point of where you're projecting how you want to project and it feels right and you're not getting fatigued. But I think, we've again, your point on learning songs and never again. Yeah, I mean, we all do it, don't we? I mean, hopefully you've got to kind of think, well, you prep this, but the point is you've drawn the resource out of it, and it has value. As long as it has value, then we're good, aren't we? But yeah, I mean,
certainly a learning experience.
Yeah, totally. I think I mean, you've probably already got this, but I think if you haven't, you need to invest in a GoPro. I want to see all this live. Yeah. Oh dear, that would...
Yeah, it was quite the show. My wireless wouldn't work, and so I was corded through the bass amp, which I didn't provide. The backline was provided, so I was corded 20 feet away from the bass amp with a cord that wasn't quite long enough, and so it's sort of halfway up, and trying to move around, and we had lots of people and all the rain coming down, and it was an experience. So
yeah. I mean, well, thank you for sharing that. And does anybody else want to contribute to what Pink has said? I mean, looked pretty tricky to me, that whole thing. I'm not familiar, totally familiar with that tune, but yeah. But anyway, does anybody else want to talk?
That's a typical Jane's Addiction song. It's just a lot of stuff on top of each other. It's hard to listen to. So my condolences that you put all that time into it. Never again. I've had the same thing where we do a song and I'd run it for a long time, and we do it once in rehearsal or at a gig, and never again. And I don't miss those songs. So,
what's the name of the song?
Called "Been Caught Stealing."
I mean,
and unfortunately, it's catchy enough that I can't stop it going through my head.
Yeah.
you know, it'll fade eventually, I hope. But,
I don't know. You've got me. That's my earworm now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, cool. Yeah, I mean I don't know. You have to, for instance, obviously it's getting quite close for me now. You know, the autumn's not that far away, and I'll be doing this 40th anniversary tour in like 3 sections at the moment. Um, Going into 2025, which is the anniversary of Live Aid. So Nick performed at Live Aid. So there's I don't know. I don't know. There's a couple of these stadiums that I don't know. It won't be the same, but it's some promoter's dream, isn't it? I think they're going to replicate something, but they won't really. But anyway, to cut a long story short, you know, he even at the weekend when I was playing for him, he's been announcing the Human Racing and Riddle tour, and we're playing both albums back to back with tracks that some of which he's never performed, as I've said before. But he follows it up with "We'll never do this again." And I'm thinking, oh, you absolute, because I mean, there's a couple of tunes which, I'm very passionate about. But he's literally saying, we'll never do this again. This is a one-off event. So I'm kind of in the same boat of, I know I'm learning a whole bunch of really tricky stuff that I probably won't, I'll only get to play this year and a bit of next, and that's it. So you've got to move on, haven't you, I suppose? And, but doesn't mean I can't stop playing it. But yeah, so cool. I mean, everybody's contribution tonight has just been superb, as usual. Obviously, a couple of people missing. One final thing I will share, and I'll send you this link, and might be nice to just kind of, sadly, Alex hasn't been able to make any of the stuff. It's not any of our hangs, that is, but I see him with the Blueprint program every week, as I see all of you guys. He has got a single. They've got a single coming out, his band, and he sent me a really nice email just about. I almost forgot to send you the pre-save link. So I'll send all you guys that. I'm gonna give it a listen. I know the kind of band he's in. I'm not saying it's Jane's Addiction, but yeah, prepare yourself. But I think it's really good that we've got people who are, all of you are very, very different, and the thing I really said to, well, it was 18 months. I couldn't be involved with Scott 18 months ago, but the one thing I did say to him is that one size will not fit all in this type of program, and it's never truer with what I'm going through with you five guys. So it's nice to have all of that variety. But anyway, just to kind of close it off, I will I'll send you that link, and you can do whatever you want with it. So there we go. Any other business? I don't think so. I think we're all cool. Let me just quickly double check. I don't think anything is changing next week. It's like a normal week, shall we say, if what's normal. The following week, it will be a hang on the Wednesday again, and that's the 7th of August. I think I've sent the invite, and yeah, I've got some ticks against that, so you're all aware of it. Sorry for the swap and changes. It's just things are coming and going and being added all the time. So thanks for being flexible on all of that. So yeah, great. Okay. I'm going to start recording this for the time being.